Hey guys, this is Drax back with another Battlefront 2 video, and this one is quite exciting as we have a brand new progression system, an old map returning from Battlefront 1, and the fix to that cooling bug which made the game so frustrating to play over the past few weeks. Here's Update 2.0. So starting with the new progression system, no more RNG. This system is linear, meaning the more you play a class, hero or starfighter, the more you level with them. Here I just want to show you how my star cards look after the switchover from the old system. Obviously most are the same. I unlocked every card available last night and have a decent level on all of my characters. This is around 550 hours of playtime, with my crafting parts there which will be changed over in April. Any credits earned in the future or already owned will no longer be for crates, as now they are just used to purchase cosmetics and emotes. The only time you will see crates is when they are given to you as a reward, say for daily login or for a challenge completed. So as said, no more RNG for progression, play your characters to level them up and gain skill points. And the final thing to mention is that crystals will be back to purchase soon, but these will only be used to buy cosmetics as well. They will have no effect on star cards. So that's great, a far better system than we had before, and one that I think players will really enjoy. You could say the progression system we needed at the beginning, but at least it's here now. As a bonus to all the newer players to the game, the devs have unlocked all currently available heroes and hero ships. These characters had a small credit cost on them before, such as Luke, Leia, Vader and Iden's TIE Fighter, but now they are all unlocked for anyone who didn't do so before this update. On top of all this, they brought back Bespin from the last game, more specifically at this time the Administrator's Palace. On this map you'll be able to play Blast, Heroes vs Villains and for a limited time some jetpack cargo. Sadly no sabotage like the last game, but maybe that could be added back in sometime in the near future. It's a great map and part of my favourite DLC on the last game, so I hope to see the Carbonite freezing chambers sometime in the future as well. The Administrator's Palace is an interesting map choice for jetpack cargo, and this mode plays far differently than it did on Tatooine. For arcade, they've decided to unlock all star cards and weapons, so this pretty much allows anyone who doesn't like playing multiplayer so much the chance to use those. It also works as a testing ground, so you can check out star cards and weapons before you invest time and skill points in them. So that's the bulk of the update, but let's have a look at some of the smaller stuff now which also could have a big impact. Starting here with hero and villain balancing, we have Iden Versio. She's had more changes than any other hero or villain in this update. Overall, they've gave her an increase in power and more survivability. They've increased her base health from 550 to 650, and they fixed an issue where the secondary fire module didn't appear on Iden's TL50. Her droid shield, they've increased the active time from 10 to 12 seconds. So that's all great, but the most significant change comes to her post cannon, which has been completely reworked with a load of changes to make it fire faster and recharge quicker, also increasing the weapon's accuracy to make it more of a skill weapon. On top of all this, she is also getting a change to her hot swap card, which will now give health to Iden when she stuns an enemy with her droid. They said here that they know players want more star cards that regain health added to the game, but for Iden's droid this felt like it was a good fit. So that's great for Iden there, a bit of a quad buff going on. She's going to feel so much better to use. But swiftly moving on, we have Boba Fett. This was talked about a lot and it was brought up in the stream recently, and Boba Fett is also getting a buff. First off, they've addressed his jetpack. They said we've heard a comparison to an F-15 and also heard that the maneuverability of Boba Fett's jetpack is very well liked. With this tweak, the speed is slightly reduced, but you should still feel fast and powerful when played. So they've reduced the forward thrust speed of Boba's jetpack slightly. They revisited his health as he's the lowest currently available, and they said it doesn't feel correct for a hero, even a flying one, so they've increased it from 500 to 550 to give him a bit more survivability. Leia Organa, and they've updated her hair to match her outfit that she's wearing. I think it's one of the comic book outfits and her hairstyle wasn't matching it correctly, so they've done that now. They said they're happy with Leia's current gameplay, but will look at her squad shield for heroes versus villains in the future, as currently you don't really use her squad shield at all. They said that she's a very approachable character for new players, but they want to push her more into a control the battle style gameplay, so they've decided to bump up her health regeneration to keep her base health on the same level as other blaster wielding heroes, as well as give her more of a chance to keep in the fight. So Leia gets a double buff from this update. They've increased her maximum health regeneration from 150 to 200, and decreased the health regeneration delay from 5 to 4.5 seconds. Moving on, we have Han Solo, and they said he's hard to master, and with him having low health without much defensive abilities, this made him quite vulnerable. So they've increased his base health from 600 to 650 and fixed an issue where his detonite charge didn't explode mid-air. So that's pretty much all the real changes to heroes and villains. The rest is pretty much fixes, so I'll read through them quickly now. Darth Vader Punishing Grip Star card should now work correctly. They fixed an issue where his saber throw ability could go through a wall on Takadana. I didn't know that was possible. I don't know what wall that is. Emperor Palpatine, they fixed an issue where his lightning absorption star card didn't grant the correct amount of health after being used. Chewbacca's stun grenade can no longer be activated while other abilities are activating. Rey, while using insight, a circle shouldn't appear under Rey for other players when activated. And Yoda, the area of effect should now display properly when the unleash ability is triggered. And they fixed an issue where Yoda didn't break out of immobilizing abilities when using presence. Finn, they fixed the UI marker problem with his Deadeye ability. It would persist after the ability has ended, so that should be gone now. And they fixed an issue where weathering effects weren't working for Finn. For Lando, there's an interesting one where players weren't able to spawn in as Lando when Han Solo was being played, so that should now be fixed. And that's all the hero and villain changes right there. Moving swiftly on, we have classes, special units and vehicles, and starting with the assault, they fixed an issue where weapon cooling was not working correctly for weapon mods. And that's pretty much across the board, and we'll see that in other areas as well. The officer, they fixed an issue where the increased cooling provided higher cooling reduction than intended. Tweaked the description of homing shot to clarify that it can fire multiple rockets, and fixed an issue where weapon cooling was not working for weapon mods once again. For the default pistol, they reduced the end damage from 20 to 17. And getting on to the more interesting changes for the officer, the SE-44C has received a bit of a nerf, although it won't be too noticeable because we already had the cooling bug going on. They reduced the amount of shots that can be fired before overheating from 25 to 17, and reduced how many shots can be fired before overheating when increased cooling mod is equipped from 49 to 25, reducing the end damage distance from 40 to 30 meters. One of those star cards I've talked about a lot in streams recently is the Officer's Presence and how many battle points it gives. I play Officer most of the time just because I know I can get a hero very quickly with the Officer's Presence star card equipped. So they flatten the points given to an officer with Officer's Presence, regardless if the aura affects 1 or 19 allies. They said point payoff with Officer's Presence was stacking, meaning an officer standing in a choke point can farm thousands of battle points without effort. To fix this, we've removed this stacking rule. So the officer should not earn anywhere near as many battle points as he did before, and you won't see so many people playing officer and getting the hero first, so more balance across all the classes. For the turret on the officer, it now spots enemies when it acquires them and primes to fire. The spotted enemy is only visible to the officer who owns the turret though. So how about the specialist? Well, all they've done for the specialist here is the thermal binoculars. They've enabled spotting logic. I'm not sure what that actually means at this time. Maybe you can spot enemies easier than you did before. They said the improved thermal binoculars increase the time an enemy is spotted, and they've added 25-point scoring event per enemy spotted as well. So that's a lot better for the thermal binoculars. I expected to see a buff to specialist health in this patch, but I guess that will come in the next one. In general, they've fixed an issue where weapon cooling was not working correctly for weapon mods, and that goes for the heavy as well. They fixed an issue where it's possible to use the sentry ability in first person. They fixed an issue where the sound could get stuck on the sentry ability, and finally they fixed an issue where weapon cooling was not working correctly for weapon mods. And on the heavy, yes, that applies to the DC-15LE. The most overpowered weapon in game for the past, month now. It's been absolutely terrible to play against this weapon, and more people using it. And last night while I was streaming, it was just terrible. It was everywhere. So finally the DC-15LE has been fixed. Thank you for finally fixing it, DICE. Please do not let any weapon like that pop up in Battlefront 2 ever again. This also means for the heavy that the TL50 cooling mod should actually work correctly now, so that weapon should feel better to use once again. For the aerial classes, they've fixed an issue where the improved rocket launcher star card didn't reduce recharge as intended, fixed an animation issue that could cause aerials to incorrectly row when dashing, and they've updated the description of each of the aerial units to more clearly differentiate them from each other. Jump Trooper, Imperial Jump Trooper and First Order Jump Trooper Rocket Jumper, Rebel Rocket Jumper and Resistance Rocket Jumper. Enforcers fixed an issue where the Death Trooper wouldn't see a white outline on enemies that had been affected by the Sonic Imploder's blinding effect, and they fixed an issue where the explosive radius of the Sonic Imploder wasn't improved by the Explosive Expert star card. Finally, fixed the issue where the ATST's grenade launcher would fail to trigger after having been activated. So that's all the fixes and stuff like that. A lot to go through there. A load of good changes, and the most noticeable one, once again, that DC-15LE will not be bothering us anymore. So how about game mode changes? Well, on the Galactic Assault Takodana, they reworked the defender spawns in Phase 2, moving them closer to the objectives, and the price of the ATST on Takodana has been increased from 1,500 to 2,500. That makes sense, as the ATST pretty much dominated ever since it was introduced, pretty much turning that game mode around, as the first stage is so easy with an ATST now. Kashyyyk, they've reworked the defender spawns in Phase 3, moving them closer to the objectives. The LAAT respawn time has been increased to 30 seconds, and they fixed an issue where the MTT health would not display correctly, and it would sometimes enter an incorrect state. The most notable one there, I would say, is the LAAT respawn time, as the LAAT really can do some damage, so it's going to take 30 seconds now to respawn. Death Star 2, they've made Phases 2 and 3 easier to defend, and Phase 1 slightly easier for the attackers by adjusting the spawn positions. On Tatooine, Phase 2 spawns for defenders have been adjusted for positioning and spread in an effort to increase safety directly after you spawned. The attacker spawn in Phase 2 have been moved closer to the objectives to make it easier to attack, and defender spawns in Phase 3 have been moved closer to the objective to make it easier to defend. They've made several visual improvements, and they've adjusted the frequency with which the alternate light settings appear, so day and night on Tatooine. For Kamino, they've increased the price of the LAAT gunship from 400 to 1,000. That makes complete sense, as that thing can pretty much dominate. And the LAAT respawn has been increased by 30 seconds as well, once again. So a bit of a double nerf there for anyone who likes repeatedly pulling the LAAT gunship. On Jakku, they fixed an issue where players were spawning out of bounds with the ATST. On Endor, they've updated and reintroduced the daylight setting, and they've adjusted the frequency with which the alternate light settings appear. So daytime is now available on Endor, and I think people will want to play the daylight setting more than the nighttime. I don't know many people who like nighttime on Endor currently, and they've been asking for a daylight setting for a long time, so here it is. A quick one on Blast, they've improved the spawn zones for Blast on Starkiller Base. Starfighter Assault, or just Starfighters in general. The Starfighter splash damage against troopers has been reduced by 50% to prevent excessive targeting of troopers, and they fixed an issue where the MVP screen would continuously shake. There's been various improvements on Jetpack Cargo. In Arcade, they fixed a ton of issues, mostly with AI, to make that mode much more enjoyable. There is a load of other general improvements and bug fixes as well, so I'll leave the update notes in the description if you want to check those out. I hope you have found this video helpful and enjoyable. I'll be back soon with more vids from the update and a live stream later on today, but for now, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.